Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Early when we start our MDM process. But before we go into the main system, attributes or the base objects, what are base objects? What is all these things? I was just putting down some definitions kind of thing for you guys. Basically, you need to know major 4 tables. Why these 4 tables? Because these 4 tables will be holding data for you. These are the 4 data tables. Base object is our main table, which holds the golden record. Now, what do you mean by golden record? Golden records are the mix of, or I can say a single truth or one record for per customer. It's something like that. Even if I'm getting the data from multiple source system, after doing the match and merge, it will go ahead and merge those records, all the duplicate records or the similar records which are near to duplicate those records, to form a new record for every purpose which will have enriched data, which will have the latest data and in a valid format. And why I was writing down a CD1? Because there won't be any new record. Whenever there is an update, it will be going ahead and updating the same record. Which means if I have a single record in the base object, let's say there would be one record. This one record may be created by number of records. Records which came from multiple source systems, or it can also happen that only it was a distinct record which didn't find itself as duplicate. At that point, it will be created from a single record itself. Where does all that data go from all those sources? That it is coming, as I'm stating multiple times, that the data is coming from multiple sources systems or even from one single source system. The data is duplicate, match and merge. Where does all the other data goes? All the other data is held into your cross-reference. Cross-reference holds all the data which take place to create this particular one record. It can be one record which is creating, or it can be multiple records which went ahead and created this single record. We'll see all the data. It's just a matter that what these table will be holding. I'm just taking now. Then there are 2 history tables. These history tables, you can see that it is a history of cross-reference. This xref, you can state it as xref or you can state it as cross-reference. This is the history table for cross-reference and this is the history table for base object. It will hold all the updates which happen in that particular record for that table. And these would be a city type, which means a single update will go ahead and create a new record in that particular table. A single update in the cross-reference will go ahead and create a new record in the history cross. If we have to go ahead and check the lineage of a record, that when it came, how it was and how it is now, what is the journey of that record? We can see that in history table and history of cross-reference table, according to which table data we want to go ahead and see. Because I will be taking or I will be talking about these two tables more and a little bit of this table in one of the system attributes. I thought that first I will go ahead and clear these terminologies. When we'll be going ahead and doing other topics like match and merge, there will be talking about match table. There will be a PCT table. There will be a VCX table. There will be a PCPL table. There will be other tables as well. Dotty table will be there. There are multiple tables for one particular. Whenever we go ahead and will be creating a single table, a single base object table in MDM, these all tables get created automatically. Every table. It will have around 10 to 15 tables which will get created. But it won't create our history table. History table is created when we go ahead and configure. If we need history to be involved, we'll see once we go ahead and we'll create that. Once we create a base object, I showcased it in the early, yes, or I would say the second session. There was a certain number of system calls. And in those system attributes, there were two attributes which plays a very major role in multiple areas. If I will say a state of a record can be active pending it's soft deleted or it's a purge. These are the four state of record in MDM. And all these states are being held and manipulated by state management. There is a configuration for state management, and that state management controls the hub state indicator for our record. What does that particular hub state indicator does? What is the concept for when a record is being created or updated or soft deleted? When it will go into pending. And what happens when we do a purge? In which situation either soft delete does that data will be showcased as in UI or not. All these things I'll be telling you in a bit. And what it will go ahead and do in the backend for that particular record. We'll go ahead and see that. Now for hub state indicator. As I stated, the hub state indicator goes ahead and gives us these indicators which is 1, 0, -1 and -9. Now we just need to focus on this part. One means active, 0 means pending, -1 means soft delete and -9 means hard delete or purge. Any questions? Till whatever I have stated in base, object, cross-reference history, anything. For the XREF table, you said it saves only stash type 1 only. If, in case, like that same record is coming from the source and it has some updates, it would be kind of overwritten. It would create new record. Correct. That would be record that history would be going in history. XREF. Correct. It would be maintained with a timestamp and all. Correct. And then what would go in history table? Like just the history. This is going for this and this history goes over here. It goes for this. It gives any record which is going ahead and updating a base object will be sent in history. Any record which is going ahead updating XREF only will go and update this. Why I'm stating that this as a different and this as a different, that I'm stating that any record which only updates this. What do you mean by that? Only update or updates base. Object updates over here in MDM are two ways. Either it will update XREF only or it will update XREF and base object. These are the two conditions. Now the question is why? Why they don't? Yes. What do you say previously? No, I'm just stating that there can be only an XREF or in both. There cannot be any other way. Fair dear. Even if you go ahead and do a UI update, you are doing API call update. If you are doing a batch update, either of these two will happen. There is no other third option to be there. But an update. I'm not talking about delete now, I'm talking about update. Now why there is only when we are saying that the record is matched and merged and accordingly this base object is being created. Any. If there is an update in cross-reference, that should also trigger the base object as well. What happens in over here at this point that when only XREF is updated when match and merge is being done. There are certain number of attribute. We say they'll go as trust. This mostly happens when we use trust. Because let's say A, B and C. These are three sources which we had. This had 9%, this has 9% and this has 85%. Any update which is coming from source system B will not update our first name. Because first name will be traveling from a source system. Any update over here in L will trigger an update in base object as well. Basically what I'm stating that my base object which is having a first name will be coming from a source system. But my cross-reference is having first name from A, from B and from C, all the three. If there is an update over here, then this particular section will be happening. That my base object will also get updated and my cross-reference is also getting updated. But if my update is coming from B or C, then due to my trust score is not up to date for these two source system up to date. Or I would say more, that my B or C can go ahead and update my base object. That means only my cross-reference is getting updated. In this particular situation, only the data which will be updated or created would be in history cross-reference. But when the data is updated over here, it will go in history as well as history of cross-reference. Because my cross-reference will get updated as well as my base object is updated. Some confusion? Then let me know. What you understood, just go ahead. And if you want to go ahead and repeat what you understood, it's all good. I got it because like base objects is basically holding the golden record, whereas xref holds records from all the different sources. And based on the trust score, if the trust score is of the highest source and that is getting updated, both the tables would get impacted, xref as well as base objects. And again, depending upon, like it is just xref, then it will impact only history, xref. And if it is both the tables of the history table should be get it. Over here in the substrate indicator, you can see that I have added create as in 2 sections. Even update is in 2 sections, delete is in 2 sections, but purge is only in 1 section. Correct. What are these objects? Basically why I put 2 different substrate indicators. What about the diagram? That's my neighbor. They have renovated their place. Their electrician might have came in. Pending source or pending substrate is done in 2 states, but in only 2 conditions. We can do one. See there -1 and -1. That is it. Pending can happen via 2 conditions. One is when we are using a state management enabled. State management enabled means our batch or even from UI. Batch or UI is going ahead and waiting for approval to get the data in permanent state. Either using state management or it is by the utilization of workflow, because workflow needs approval from a higher person than the keyword. Basically, keyword has gone ahead and updated it at the record, and then later on, manager is going ahead or a senior person is going ahead and they are going and updating that particular record. As that, the update which has been done is correct. They are approving that update. That means it will go ahead and do a permanent change. Whereas state management, when we say state management, we mostly utilize when we have the source system sends out a pending record or a manipulation in the record state, which means if the record is not yet permanent in the source itself, the record has gone ahead and deleted in the source. Source is sending us those updates, then we'll use state management. Accordingly, the hub state indicator will be updated either by 0 or by 1. Now when we say create can be done in two ways. Either we are using the state management workflow, or if we are not using either, then what will happen? In which particular ending or the table, the record will go ahead and get updated or gets the hub state indicator. If we have enabled the state management or workflow, then the first record which will be created as hub state with a hub state indicator as 0. It can also happen that source will send you the active record as well. There is no doubt in that. But if you are utilizing a workflow, then every time a record is created until the approval is done, the record will be created as hub state indicator 0. If not, then the record will be created in all the places with the hub state indicator of 1. It's a pretty simple one, correct? This is majorly a tabular format where these records with this hub state indicators, the records will be present. If you talk about pending records, then pending records in the create state will be also created in base object with the hub state indicator of 0. You will see the cross reference with 0 hub state indicator. You will see history as well and cross reference history as well. Ajay, suppose a new record comes in. The records will be appearing in all the 4 tables. Correct. Or in history only after some change happened. No, in all the tables. A new record comes into all these 4 tables and the hub state indicator will be 0. If we are utilizing any of these tactics, either our state management is enabled or workflow we are using. If we are using a workflow and the record is created from UI, then the record which is just now created until the approval is done, the record will see in all the tables with the hub state indicator of 0. Let's say this particular record was there and this got created by workflow. Then this is something which we will go ahead and will see. Even in the history, we'll see the same thing. We'll see the cross-reference history also in the same way. What is the difference for cross-reference and history would be? I just click this. What would be the difference between these two tables? Would be any data which is getting updated when you're using workflow and the record is still in pending state. Then what this table will do? These table will act as a CD1. It won't act as a CD2 because the record is still in pending state. Any updates which is happening at that point means all these updates are still trying to make into MDM as active record as a permanent record in MDM. All the changes which will happen in the pending state. In all the table, it will act as a CD type 1. It will overwrite that attribute value and it will not be available anyway to see. This is what a create in pending or state management. Basically, I'm using the internal source system. I'm talking about the workflow. This is what a workflow record will look like. It has gone ahead and created in all the tables, has created with a hub state indicator. It's like 0. Are you able to understand now? These would be the concept that how your MDM works. This population happens before, like match and merge step. When the match and merge will only happen with the hub state indicator 1. Only on the active records, because active records are the permanent records which will be going ahead and people will go ahead and update or they'll utilize for reporting purpose and all those areas. Match and merge only happen over here. A new record comes in. It will go into like pre-landing, landing and then staging area. After that, it will be populated in all these tables. Then, based on the hub state indicator, when the match and merge step runs, it will act accordingly. But this particular area where I stated this was created from UI, or you can say Ether-D60 using Google Work. And the part where you are stating about landing and staging, that comes into bat where state management works. When we are creating a record directly in the MDM, either through a UI or using the console itself, using the data keyword configuration, that will use your state management. If you are using Hub Console or the batch which includes landing to staging and staging to base object. But when you are creating the record from UI, it will utilize workflow for pending records. Any questions? Please feel free to go ahead and ask. Until you're clarified, I am good with that. Now any questions? State management will be like this. Currently, we are talking about workflow related. When the workflow is created, when the record is created using workflow, it will be created by using internal source system. And you'll see a hub state indicator of 0 until the record is being approved by the approval. Once the approval is done, this record will be once more created with a hub state indicator of 1. But these two will be updated. This is what will happen after the approval. If we won't be utilizing any of these things, then this record and this record will not be created. These two records will not be created. If you won't utilize any of these kinds, that means this section, where all we are seeing the data we are seeing in cross-reference base object history and cross-reference all the areas. Like when you said that in case of state management and workflow, it won't create in history and history itself. If we are not using any of these things, that means our pending will not be created. It is coming directly from the source. Correct. Either use your batch or create a MDM. You are not waiting for any approval to approve it. Correct? That means whatever data is coming in as permanent. Correct? Correct. Basically like it is coming from the source system directly. Either coming from source system directly or we are creating from UI directly from inside the MDM itself. What happens in batch? Batch, we have to wait. Approval from source. In UI, wait for approval from manager or from basically approver. Correct. That is a steward in case of UI. Basically, in MDM, we call steward as who will be manipulating the data. Stewards go ahead and manipulate the data. Managers are the one who approves the data. Basically, every company or every customer has their own role, naming conventions. They can go ahead and state users as basically creator or requester. Those people becomes users or creators. Yes, steward becomes your manager place. It all depends on what kind of role we are going ahead and state. DM in basic or generic form. We always call stewards and managers. Steward will go ahead and manipulate the data. Managers will approve it. If we are not waiting for any kind of approval, that means any data either from source or either from UI, That means whatever data is being created, either from batch or either from UI, it will be created as permanent correct. If there is any data which is getting created in base object, it will have a supported record in cross-reference. And if we have gone ahead and created the history tables, these two tables are having data. Ultimately, these two will replicate that particular data again. We won't have any upstream indicator of 0. That is why I have put two different sections for this. If we are using pending over here, then this would be our entire record. We are cross-reference will be having one base, object will be having one, but history and cross-references. History will be having two records. When it was started and when it got permanent. In his no even after approval, also that the record with upstate indicator 0 still remain there. In the history, yes, in history X-ray. Correct history and cross-reference history. Because it might happen that your one of the, let's say, last name was not updated over here. Last name was updated by our manager. This might happen. When the report was in pending state, but when it got permanent. Create is clear, with pending and without pending. It's good. Then we'll go ahead and update. Update is pretty simple. If you are not using any workflow, that means any update. Let's say if I went over here and I went ahead and updated this to this one, this will go ahead and directly update this. And there would be one more record which will be created. Either this will happen or let's say there was one record which got created by same source. Another source system went ahead and sent us the data which was having the same registry ID or it got matched and merged. Let's say this record came up and merged with this record and these two will go ahead and update over here. This record will now get into our history. This is without pending or working. This one was pretty simple. That any record which is coming up from any other source system went ahead and created a new record altogether. But what happens if it came via a zero hub state indicator? What will happen at that point? Please interrupt me if you are not able to understand what I'm trying to say. I see that somehow when you say like 0, when it comes with the 0 hub state indicator. It's exactly like from where it will be coming, like is it coming from a new source? We are utilizing. When I'm saying 0, that means it's a different source system. That means it is coming from batch. My sales source system went ahead and sends this data. Let's say we go ahead and do a registry ID. And we'll say 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. 4 was registry ID. Due to this registry ID, these two records got merged. Basically, that was your data. Your batch has sent a new record stating sales with this record and update and a registry ID. Now these two records will get more due to the registry ID, which we had exactly same with our matching merge rules. It will go ahead and create a new record in cross-reference. How that particular will be created in cross-reference directly. If I go ahead and state in more detailed way then how it will happen. And just show. Registry ID is exact, then duplicate or merge them. These two registry IDs were same, hence it got merged. And we have two records in cross-reference and one record in base object. But if I will showcase you how this particular thing happened in a detailed way, then what will happen is in the landing via batch, the landing stage base, object cross-reference history and history cross-reference. These table will be there. Sales data came over here and we did a stage process with that. This will come over here and on. This is how the data moves, correct. Now, how did this two went ahead and merged? What happens over here? Because over here we had already a system 0 or internal source system already present. How that thing happened? What happens always is the record from sales will be created in base object as a new record. Let's say this was having a 12 ID as raw ID object. Your system, this one internal source system, was having a raw ID object, of course. Let's say if this is the entire data, I'm just putting down the system names. Now over here there is an upstream indicator and there is a consolidation indicator. Before we go into consolidation indicator, There are 5 types of consolidation indicator. Consolidation indicator 1, 2, 3 and 9. I'll tell you more detail. But 4 is never went into a match and merge or updated record with updated attribute from match attributes. That will be updated as 4. Though records which are being merged together are found distinct. Will we go as 2 or 1? According to a configuration, we'll see. Where we either enabling something which states as do, we need to state them as unique if the records are distinct. If we say yes, then all the indicators, all the records which are merged together or found distinct will have a consolidation indicator of 1. If we say no, then all will have 2. What is the difference between these two? This will go into match and merge again. It will be taking part in match and merge, but this will never take part in match and merge again. 3 and 9 are basically records. 3 is waiting for merge. It's already done and have a match with itself. If you are going with first match and then auto merge, this 3 will see at that point. But if you are going with auto match, we won't see a 3 consolidation indicator. 9 is on hold because there might be certain records which are termed to merge, but with manual intervention. That they seem similar, but are they duplicate? That is a question for data stewards or managers to go ahead. They might be similar, they might be distinct. They'll unmerge or they will merge those records. That is called as manual work check. Consolidation indicators are something like this. We'll discuss it more. I just told you guys that I can put it over here. HSI indicators are 1 for both of them. This will be poor. This will be poor initially. Same thing will be there in cross-reference. But in cross-reference, there is one more attribute called as raw IDs rep. Which might be same or which might be different. Now this would be something which we will see. Any question till over here? Now I'm just talking about these two tables and how this came into picture. Any question? This is the very first time when the record from sales and this is something which came in. All the tables are having your data. Your history is having the data, cross-references having the data. And like here, like upstate indicator 1 means it will be an active record, and for this I think or is new record, which means it has not went into match and merge. There is no match and merge which had happened till yet for both of these records. This is clear. Far good. Now, when the match and merge went ahead and happened, as we already had this system 0 record earlier and it went from pending to active and then it was updated already. It might have gone ahead and went into match and merge. We can say that a system 0 record, which was this one, already went into match and match criteria. And currently we are stating the unique record, which I stated just now as no. Which means we will have after match and merge, we will have consolidation indicator as 2. Correct. Correct, it should be 1. Because if we go for match and merge, correct, no. Unique, basically there is a configuration and let's go ahead and showcase here. This particular part accept all matched raw as unique. If this is no, then what will happen? That any record where they didn't find any data to be merging with them. Those are distinct. They will have a consolidation indicator of 2. But if I change it to yes, then the consolidation indicator for those records will be 1. It can be either case. Ajay, does that mean, it went through match and merge, but that time it didn't find another record to get it to merge with? Correct. Those records will come into state as 2. And even if it finds the records to go ahead and merge in themselves, still the consolidation indicator will be 2. It will not be 1. Because it might happen in the later part of the stage. The records go ahead and come in and they'll get merged with the records which are already present. That might happen, correct? For those purposes, we always have these known. When we go ahead and use one, when we have a product database and that the client goes ahead and states that from the source system, you will not receive the same record or a duplicate record multiple times. In your first load, whatever have came in might be there that there would be a duplicate. But if there is no duplicate, then there won't be any new creation of the same record or a duplicate read in the source system. Only at that point we'll use it as yes. Otherwise we will not use it, yes. What happens is when the business says that they have 4 source systems from over here, these 4 source system you are taking and the client is maintaining a product database, a product domain you are working in. All these 4 domains might have duplicates in the start. The initial load from all these source system when they'll be doing in MDM, these might have duplicates, but once the records are being through, any of these source system will not create a record which is already present in them. Basically with the same, like unique ID or new record, there will be any update or something like that. Update can be there, but there won't be any new creation of the same record in the system. That if this system is having, let's say, 1, 2, 3, this system was having 1, 2, 3, this system and this system was not having 1, 2, 3 records. Then still they will not go ahead and create 1, 2, 3 in future. They might go ahead and create 1, 2, 4, but they will not create 1, 2, 3 as record. If this is somewhat of confirmation coming from the business, then only we will go ahead and use as yes. Or if we are utilizing it as a centralized MDM architecture, which means all the data which are being created in this, a total of, let's say, 1 million record was there. All the data is not dumped into MDM, and all the CIUD operations will now happen in MDM, not from source. And then only we will go ahead and use it as yes. A yes means the consolidation indicator will become 1. Which means even if there is a duplicate data, exact duplicate data which is coming in again, then your match and merge will not take all those records which are having a consolidation indicator of 1. It will not merge them. Basically, instead of unique records in base objects, it will have duplicates. That's why we always try to use consolidation indicator. Basically, we state as prevention is better than cure. That's basically the prevention of these things. That even if the source goes ahead and sends, there would be a consolidation indicator too, which means a new record which is coming in being similar or duplicate will merge into it. Being over here, what happens is, this was there. Now, when the match and merge happened, as this record was earlier, it was came in. This record, what it will goes ahead and does is it gets deleted from base object and the record in cross-reference. It will update itself as this. And the data will be updated according to our trust. If it would be latest value, then over here the value from the source system will be from sales. This is what it happened over here. That there was no trust score which was there. Any latest data which is coming in will get updated in base object. Just see what happened over here. This data was there, match and merge happened. After match and merge, this data will get deleted from base object. This will be updated as 2. These two will update it as 2. and the row ID object will be updated as 4. That this data and this data are being merged together, and that data is in row ID object 4 in base object table. And I think the 4 one was like the record which survived because of the trust score. Like the system 0 had a higher trust, that's why. No, now. This was already earlier, which was present over here. And system 0 always have a higher trust than any other source system. That is why the row ID object. If the row ID object is data from system 0, then always it will be treated as survivor report. But the values might be there from sales or system. But the row ID object will be there from system 0. Why that is there? Because system 0 or the internal source system, it is updated by people. Manual intervention is there. If a data receiver is stating that the record is updated with this particular value, do you think that source is knowing more better? No, because that is being updated by a person directly in the ending. But still, in certain cases, in my experience, they say that even if a person has updated the record in MDM when the coexistence happened, that the data is being updated in source as well as MDM. Then they put the trust score for admin or the sales system 0 as 95, let's say. And the sales will also have the same percentage. When the same percentage is there, it takes it as latest record or the latest value for those attributes. This is what always happens. If the M, D which we are creating or the solution which we are creating is coexistence. How many types are there? One is hub and spoke, which means in MFD, and there won't be anything which will be done, only match and merge, and the data will be sent back to the source system, which means all the current operations are only to be done in our sources. Then there is coexistence. Coexistence means MDM and source. Both are doing the current operations. Then there is registry. 9.99%. You will not see this thing in any MDM implementation. They have gone ahead and created it, but it's nowhere to be utilized because it is somewhat a regular relationship. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.